Hello, everybody. My name is Faith. Welcome to my videocast, Know Your Brain. If you're interested in learning about the mind, psychology, and mental health, please subscribe. Today, I'm very glad to welcome psychiatrist Dr. Vasudev. I think I got your name right, Dr. Vasudev. He is a geriatric psychiatrist who practices in London, Ontario, and he is here today to talk to us about his ideas and his book, which is called Cognitive Non Duality Therapy: Musings of a Monk and a Psychiatrist. So, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you, Faith, for having me.
Yeah. Please tell me a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I've been in Canada for around 15 years, got my training in psychiatry in England. For 8 years, I was there. And prior to that, my basic undergrad degree and schooling has been in India, all over. So that's my training. So trained as a psychiatrist and a geriatric psychiatrist, and I joined as a consultant here in London, and I've been here all this time.
When did you move to Canada?
2010.
2010. Well, welcome. I hope you like it.
Yes, we love it. Yes.
Yeah, I've been to England. Obviously I'm from Canada, but I've never been to India.
You should come.
So if that's an invitation, I'm gonna consider that. I have lots of time. I have lots of time in the summer, so we'll talk about the weather. So you've written a book called Cognitive Non-Duality Therapy. Please tell me about your book and what inspired it.
Sure. It's a bit of a long story. Okay, if you're ready. This is my second book. This is not my first one. The first one was called Be Yourself, self with a capital S. S signifying the spirit within us. So in the Indian tradition, the Indian faith, Hindu faith, the self is also called Atma. Atma means the non-changing spirit which is within us. So the concept is from Vedanta. Vedanta is the endpoint of the Vedas, the ancient scriptures from the East. So Vedanta proclaims that there is only one non-dual consciousness. So whatever you are seeing as matter, the experiences that we gain on a daily basis through our five senses, eyes, nose, touch, taste, here, they are going outwards. They are trying to understand this world that we live in. We are born innocent, but we then get corrupted. Corrupted because of these five senses, the peer pressure that we live in, the concepts that we take on during school, during childhood, even our own parents, make us lose that innocence. And by the time we reach 20, 30, 40, and 50 and later for sure, you got lost in this world. The concept of Vedanta is very simple. You have become lost because you forgot who you really are. Once you start to tune into that spirit of yourself, then you can find undying bliss, peace, and knowledge, also called as intuition, which itself gives you so much power to be resilient, to be peaceful in managing all sort of situations out there. So the non-duality means everything is only one. There is not me and you. There is only one non-dual consciousness.
One consciousness. One way I heard somebody say it is the one is the all is the one.
That's a good way of saying it. And yes, there might be similar books which are out there to make the point clear that this is an exploration book. It is not a way as such to find the spirit, but through our own self-inquiry, those are the key words that the ancient scientists of the past said, you yourself have been given a mind and an intellect to try and find out who you are.
Yeah.
It's a problem is we don't sit down to think of who we are and what our role in life is. So cognition is the thinking part. Yeah. The non-duality is what we are. And therapy, it's a type of a thinking. So you are doing therapy yourself, and this is just a self-exploration guide for that.
I Googled non-duality because it's such a great title and I wanted to
Yeah.
get a better idea of what it means. And it came up with AI gave me an answer. And it gave a Christian example, a Muslim example, a Buddhist example, and a Hindu example, which I thought was
Yes.
amazing. So I
Yes.
wonder if non-duality is sort of a theme that you can see through all religions or many religions.
All faiths. I don't suspect there's a single faith which does not believe in this principle.
Yeah.
But in the Western world, we are so lost. A lot of us have run away from our faith. This is not an invitation to go back to your faith, but at least start thinking.
Right, about the ideas. So what
Yeah.
the way I see that your book is structured is it's basically two sections, and the
Yeah.
first section is all of the big ideas, section
Yes.
one. Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm sure in your practice, I mean, you're talking about how lost people are. And you don't have to be a psychiatrist to know how lost people are. I mean, I
Correct.
drive down the street in Brampton and there's so many homeless people,
Yeah.
or I go to a local restaurant, McDonald's or Burger King or something, and there's people in there who are clearly suffering from drug addiction or mental illness, trauma, things like that. I mean, it's plain, right, how
Yeah.
lost people are.
Yeah.
Um, so can you tell us a little bit about section one of I think you already have started to, but can you talk a little bit more about section one of your book?
Yeah. So the main conditions that affect our mind is different from about the brain. I know you said know your brain as your topic, but as a
Yes.
psychiatrist, as somebody who's worked in neurology as well as a neuropsychiatrist, I'm aware of what all areas in the brain get affected by various chemical changes. And that's what psychiatry has traditionally been doing, at least for the last 80, 100 years. So with the help of the pharmaceutical industry, we're trying to modulate the brain and we're getting closer and closer to changing the brain's chemical structure. We are definitely improving our understanding of which brain chemistry, which brain areas, as well as of which connections are affected in various clinical conditions like stress, anxiety, depression, more important like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. What we have lost in the traditional psychiatric model, is talk about the mind. And in the mind is where thinking is happening. A good example of, a person that I follow, Sri Ravi Shankar, and he says very beautifully, a strong mind can carry a weak body, not the other way around. If you have a
Yeah.
strong body and a weak mind, you will suffer.
Yes.
So even if you're going to the gym and you are worried about what's going on in your house and at your work, you look at them in the gym. I go to the gym 3 times a week at least to at least keep the body going, right? I can't find one single person who is happy. Why? Because they are so lost. And I'm not talking about drug addiction and other things. I'm talking about you and me, for people who are feeling lost. And when that feeling of being lost and we don't have an adequate social structure, then it translates to stress. And what translates from stress is anxiety. What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to my family? What's going to happen to my finances? And that keeps going. You're getting close to being with a psychiatrist or a psychologist. And
Yeah.
finally, you start having depression, that you feel down, downcast, you're not interested. You isolate yourself. You might even get psychotic. You stop eating and drinking. So I see the whole spectrum. So how do
Yeah.
we stop it? This is one way, perhaps.
So you're suggesting self-inquiry is the road that people should take?
Correct. It's an ancient tradition. It's a very powerful tradition. People can even get liberated. Nirvana, as they call it in Buddhist tradition. Enlightenment would be a better
How
way.
would how would you define nirvana? What is that?
Again, I quote my guru. Guru is any person who shows you the light of knowledge. You have to do self-inquiry, but if you have a teacher of somebody who has got much more knowledge than you and is showing you the path, that's what a guru is. Of course, in the West, we have made guru for everything. But that's a traditional of guru, like guru for not sports. Okay, yes, he knows what sports is about. But the real guru is who gives you knowledge of your own spirit. What is the nature of the spirit? So you talked about the brain, you talked about the mind, but what is the nature of the spirit? The spirit does not change. It is changeless. And yet we can't find it because when we are looking outside, because of these eyes, which fool us, we start finding things which we think are changeless. Look at
Right.
ourselves. Like when we look at our hair, we see streaks of gray coming in, correct?
Yes, of course.
So it reminds us we are getting old. But when you go to sleep, are we feeling old?
I'm not, if as long as I'm not sick, I don't feel old. I still
Not
feel, yeah.
young, right? And ask a 70 or 80-year-old, because I'm told you a geriatric psychiatrist, the most common thing they will tell me, I don't know why people think I'm old.
Because I feel like they did when they were 18, like mentally. Yeah.
Mentally. But
Yeah.
what they're really saying is mentally, behind the mind is the actual consciousness. And consciousness never gets old. And this dichotomy between the brain, the senses, and the spirit is the reason for our confusion.
Okay. In your book, there's a chapter called The Problem of Identification. What is the
Yes.
problem of identification?
Problem with the body, identification with the body, problem with identification with the family alone, problem of trying to find happiness in things which keep changing. You have a
Right.
good job, you like it, well, you get checked out and you start feeling sad and depressed and land into a psychiatrist's office. It doesn't make any sense. We give them labels of adjustment disorder, depression, you stop eating and drinking, but you've forgotten that there is no job which can give you peace.
So if I identify as my job or my age or my gender, perhaps that's not the best thing to do, but what should I identify as?
So the journey is inward. It's a slow journey. So less we identify with the body, then we start asking, then who am I? Then you start thinking, okay, maybe I'm my thoughts because I thought this way yesterday.
Maybe I'm my thoughts.
Now, yeah, and this is the way I'm thinking now. But then the question comes, well, I thought this way today, and I know how fickle my mind is. Within a few hours, if not a few minutes, because of social media nowadays, we can't even keep our attention. We change who we are. We start identifying with someone who is, say, a sports person. In a few seconds, we scroll on Facebook or Insta and we think, oh, I've seen a new reel. This looks very interesting, right? So we pick up a new idea and start identifying who we think we are.
Yeah,
I'm a Maple
especially
Leaf fan and something else. Yeah.
if we're getting reinforced by people, like if we're getting a lot of praise for our appearance or
Yes.
how much money we have or our job, we go, oh yeah, I'm a doctor, I'm a big deal, but that's a temporary position, right? You could have
Correct.
an injury and now you're not a doctor anymore, right? Or,
Correct.
and certainly your body's going to die, right? Certainly your body is mortal. So,
Yes.
I had a very similar conversation with Dr. Stuart Ross. It's one of my other
Yeah.
episodes. And he
Okay.
said, and he was looking at Buddhist ideas. And he
Yes.
said, I said, so what is your identity? And he said, he thought about it briefly and he said, pure attention. Your pure attention.
Go higher. So the
Okay.
concept of Vedanta is three words: Sat, Chit, Ananda. So these are Sanskrit words. What that means is Sat means truth. Truth
Truth.
means which is unchanging. These are the three words which give us a direction of what the spirit is. If you are in touch with that unchanging aspect of you, then you are getting in touch with your true self, which you can find in meditation, listening to beautiful music, listening to a good talk like we are having. Hopefully, people who are listening to this say, "Oh, this sounds interesting." You find that is truthful. It jives with you. It makes you feel happy in a
Yeah.
different way rather than just listening to rock music and saying, "Hey, this is fun too." Yeah, that's fun too. But this is much more calming. It's
Yeah.
intuitively, it sounds right.
Yeah.
That's truth.
It feels sometimes like when you hear something deeply true,
Yes.
like an opening in your heart, right?
Correct.
Like a bell ringing. It's such a beautiful feel. I know exactly what the feeling you mean is. So that's sat means truth. What does chit mean?
Chit is awareness.
Okay.
So awareness is I'm here and I'm aware that I'm breathing. I'm aware that I'm thinking. I'm aware I'm having emotions. The person who knows is awareness.
And that sort of sounds like being in the moment, being present.
Correct? That's a
Yeah.
starting point. So most people, when they listen about mindfulness, it's a great thing. That's what Buddhism tradition say. At least be mindful, become more attentive at what we are doing.
Good start.
And yeah, then go behind that. Who is being mindful? What is that source which is giving you the power to be mindful?
And what does Ananda mean?
The ananda is the bliss.
Bliss.
Bliss. The ananda is the bliss. So if somebody has meditated, even has got 10 seconds of peace, then you know that is what is true bliss. And that gives you so much joy beyond any of the five senses joy that we get, because they're all ephemeral. They keep changing.
Yeah.
The best food you have, the best sex you have, how long does it stay?
Not
We know
long.
the answer. We know the
Not long.
answer.
And there's also the negative side of it too, right? Like food's
Yes,
an easy example. Some good food is nice, but then there's gluttony, right? I don't
exactly.
think you can't have too much peace though.
No, they say peace is your very nature. And once
Okay.
you realize peace is your very nature, peace is my very nature, my awareness is my very nature, and truth is my very nature, then you are getting to know yourself better. And the best way to do it, well, there are various ways, is to first do self-enquiry. I also teach breath work. I
Okay.
teach people how to breathe better so that your mind consolidates it and it expands. Slowly, you're able to go down into your intellect, then cross your ego, and finally get into the spirit.
That's
So I do.
beautiful.
And when you are there in the spirit, then the whole world disappears.
I was reading this book about Aramaic, the language of Jesus, and
Yes.
the translation from Aramaic of the first beatitude is, "Blessed is the person who finds their home in their own breath." It's very different
Yes.
than the other translations, but if you translate it from Aramaic, it's "Blessed is the person who finds their home in their own breath." And I thought, oh, they do have breath work in Christianity. It's
They
not
do.
just, well, based on that. I mean,
Be-
originally in the
yes.
original church they did, but I think
Yeah.
it's something that's been lost in the Christian tradition, but you still have it in your tradition.
Did you know Jesus was in India?
He was in India.
He spent.
I have heard that
Yes.
before. I don't know, like I don't know that much about it. Can you tell me about that?
Well, it's a long discussion, but I'll just say it briefly. He was there at least a few years, and the concepts of Vedanta are shared in the Holy Bible, at
Mm-hmm.
least what he spoke. But of course, we know the Bible was written after he, passed on.
Mm-hmm.
But his original teachings included that.
Yeah. And
There
there's
are a
in the
few
original
books.
teachings, he talks about there is an idea of the Holy Spirit being a
Sure.
breath, that
Yes,
the transmission of the Holy Spirit is through breath. So there is
yes,
an idea of breath work, but it's very much been lost in Christianity. But
yes,
thankfully, with the new the Dead Sea Scrolls, they are translating from the
yeah,
Aramaic now and getting more of
yeah,
a pure translation.
exactly. So in Sanskrit, we call breath work as pranayama. Prana literally means subtle life force energy, which is guiding the breath, not the breath alone, an energy which is guiding the breath. And so by changing the way we breathe using various techniques, you can channel that energy to become more expansive, getting
Mhm.
more close to the spirit. So
Yeah.
pranayama is a very beautiful technique, and we are somewhat copying it, like the box breathing that we do for people who have anxiety or panic. We're asking them to take a deep breath in, hold their breath, slowly breathe out, then hold their breath again. That's one type of a pranayama technique. There are many, many more.
Oh, that's beautiful. In your book, you talked about how sometimes people use a romantic relationship
Yeah,
as sort of a substitution. I
yeah.
think, and I was like, oh, this is smart and people need to hear this. Can you talk about the role, the problematic role of romantic relationships?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong in romance. We all love a little bit of
Yeah.
romance. Even the divine must be having fun when he made this world out of romance only, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's a separate story. He probably forgot about it, right?
Yeah.
Because this world seems to be going on its own, and we then crib with it. It doesn't seem to be going right. There's so many wrong things about the world as well. That's a different discussion. But remember our first love. There was so much of beauty to it. There was so much of, that first crush even. It was as if your heart was jumping out of its chest.
Yeah. The feelings are so strong.
Yes. And nobody can deny that's an expression of love. But that love changed. Agree, Faith?
Sometimes it's an expression of love. Sometimes it's just physical. Sometimes it's control.
Yes.
Sometimes it's a lot of things.
Yes. It got corrupted. Let's put it that way. It
Mhm.
got corrupted because of passion, anger, jealousy, the few things that come into our life. Um, and once we start controlling, and then passive aggressivity and aggression starts coming in, lots of bad things can happen if love is misplaced.
Misplaced. Yeah.
Yeah. If love is your very nature, because you experienced it in as a mother, particularly, you identify with that very beautifully. Like a mother is much luckier than a dad because you got a child close to your bosom and you are supporting the child, and that love which you feel no father can ever experience.
Very
Right?
unique. Yeah.
Very unique. The love that you have for your sibling, the love that you have for your mother and father as a child, the love for your compatriot, for your wife, for your spouse, they're all different flavors of love. By giving a name to one relationship, we are reducing the power of love.
Mm.
The way that people who have talked, who have become enlightened, who have understood life a bit better, they say love is your very nature.
Right.
Every cell of your body is nothing but love. That energy that you experience for a person who has been doing pranayama, breathing techniques, meditating regularly, they just feel love in the body.
Right.
So that's what love is. It's unadulterated, and yet it encompasses everything. It allows those expressions of love to be part of it as well, but you don't identify it with so much. Your scope of love increases because divine love is not restrictive. It
Okay.
includes everything.
Yeah, I think our society is very much. I heard someone say we live in a very, they meant Canada, America, Western society. We live
Yeah,
in a very romantic society. There's this
yeah,
hyper fixation on if you meet your soulmate, which is just the most ridiculous term, if you meet the right person, the ideal person, then your life is complete. Then you are complete. And it's that hyper fixation, every movie, every TV show, books, magazines,
exactly.
everywhere
Yeah,
pervasive. I don't know if it's like that in India, but in the Western society, from birth, you are raised on this idea of like you cannot be happy unless you are
absolutely.
happily coupled. And I just that is a problem as well, that idea.
It's a fantasy we are living in. There's no doubt.
Because can't you be happy and be single?
Absolutely.
Right? And will that person make you happy? I heard another lady say, don't wait for your husband to make you happy. You will die waiting. Like this idea that your husband or your wife or your girlfriend will make you happy. Right? Like that's the source of happiness. That's what you look to. I think that's what we're taught by media
Correct.
because that's what sells. So
Media, books, tradition, stories, movies, everything.
so
But
instead of
the
looking
person
to
who,
yeah,
yeah,
instead of looking to a romantic partner for happiness, where should we look?
inside,
Look inside.
look in your own heart. The heart is said for a reason. When we feel grateful, when we do work for others, we done a good deed, don't we feel a lightness in our chest, a sense of fullness? That's what love is.
Yeah.
How can we deny that feeling of gratitude which chokes us in our throat region? when somebody says a nice thing to us, or when somebody gives us a hug and you have tears of joy coming in and you're feeling that choking feeling in your heart, in your throat, isn't that love? Of course it is. Passion is there. Nobody's denying passion is not important, but there has to be a component of dispassion as well. The word dispassion is very powerful. Most people feel lost with me when they hear the word dispassion. But in the ancient Vedantic text, it actually means that you stop identifying with the changing world and make your spirit your own love, your first and only love. Have a spouse and look after your kids and manage what you have to do as well. But don't forget, you started from here and you will end here. That's all the tradition is. And if you have a fantasy that India knows what we are talking about, they don't either.
Got it.
Everybody is lost.
Oh, okay. I was hoping I would take a trip and they could sort it out for me. The second part of your book is case studies. So you give
Yes,
examples of different people and how you used cognitive non-duality therapy to help them. Can you speak about one of those case studies or another case study? Can you give an example of a person?
absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel so honored, so grateful for the people who allowed their stories to be shared. Of course, they've given me consent. And I keep meeting new and new people, which would hopefully lead to the third book, where I will hopefully talk only about devotion. So our journey is to understand that I have got stress, anxiety, depression, and so I call the SAD syndrome, SAD, stress,
Yeah.
anxiety, and depression. And when you start identifying with your own spirit, then you realize you're actually in a love affair with yourself. So that would be the third book. But look, let's look at anxiety. I just talked to somebody who is very fearful right now. If you really look what anxiety is nothing but fear.
Right.
Yeah. So if your heightened sympathetic response, that's what neurologically we understand is you have got a fight or flight response, you're waiting for the worst thing to happen to you, the police are going to knock at my door, or I have been raped, my perpetrator is going to come and harm me. We are ready to be startled. We have post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms. Bad. Anxiety, something bad is going to happen. I don't know what. Maybe my money is not going to be enough. I'm not going to live for too
Oh
long.
yeah,
What's
people
going to
worry
happen
about
to
money a
death?
lot.
Yeah, so that's anxiety, which is called generalized anxiety. Obsessive compulsive disorder, not much different. I'm worried about contamination. My hands might be dirty. I can't clean my hands. If I don't stop cleaning my hand, then I feel more angry, more isolated, more anxious. They're all therefore called anxiety spectrum disorders. Or lastly, I start identifying with my body itself. So there must be something wrong with me, and that's why I can't relax. I keep worrying. So I must have some pain in my tummy. I don't know where this pain is. I keep going to my family doctor. He can't find a reason for what's wrong. You become hypochondriacal. You might have somatic symptom disorder. So I'm
Yes.
giving you some part of the DSM, right? The diagnostic and
Yes.
statistical manual to understand this is what anxiety presents. But what's the root cause of all of this? Root cause is very simple. I have identified with my thoughts which are gone in the future. For all anxiety disorders, my worry is about the future. Future being the unknown. Public speaking, dying, money, just name them. There are only 5, 6 reasons why we are anxious. But what anxiety is really telling us that there is something in the future that we all want to know, but we do not have control of. So
Okay.
take a step back. So it's just your thoughts that you're worried about. Who is controlling the thoughts? What is the source of thoughts? What is the nature of thoughts? That's the right question to ask. So this person example that I'm giving to you, he's worried he's going to land in jail, he's going to be bankrupt, he doesn't have any money, there's a case against him, he will be looked down by his family. Just look how many hundreds, if not thousands of thought one can have just because he's put that idea, just a concept in his head that something bad is going to happen in the future.
Yeah. In your practice as a
Yes,
psychiatrist,
yes.
what are the majority of your clients? Like, what are they coming for generally? What's their presentation?
Just the way I described, the sad syndrome.
Okay. And
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
what I try and specialize in because, of course, I get dementia and I get psychosis and I got personality disorder, substance use, everything. But I'm trying to help people who can be improved quickly. So I'm
Right.
trying to focus in on providing therapies, breath work to help them get out of this faster. Yeah.
And typically, if you had a client for psychotherapy,
Yeah.
um, how many sessions would they come for about a year, do you find? Or is their treatment tends to be about 3 months? Like how it must vary, right? But like what is a typical
100%. It's exactly. Actually, this is not like typical CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, right?
okay.
So it's time focus, it's 8 to 12 sessions. We are
Right.
motivated, we are driven by a goal. We are not talking about logic here.
Yeah.
We're talking beyond logic.
Yeah.
Self-enquiry is beyond logic. Some people might be ready from maybe previous lifetimes. They understand intuitively that
Very
my
quickly.
thinking is wrong. I need to change my way of thinking.
Right.
Start looking somewhere else. Those are the right people. I don't offer this for everyone. This is not
Okay.
for everyone. So
Okay.
some people get her within a few sessions, while others can carry on for years.
And they see a big
Like I have a
improvement.
narcissistic personality disorder patient, and he doesn't
Oh,
can't just get across the idea that because he feels hurt because his father was bad to him, and that's why he's hated the whole world and he's the best, is actually he's got a very fragile ego. I spent 2 years and he hasn't moved an inch, right?
I think people with personality disorders are considered the hardest to treat with psychotherapy. So
Yeah,
good
they
for
are.
you for sticking with him.
Yeah, and he
Um,
loves it. He says the only thing which changes in my week is when I come and meet you, because then I'm at least having some smiles and I'm not thinking so highly of me and the world is horrible. Now I know I'm just a stupid person. At least, and
that
that's a
sounds,
big thing for him.
yeah, it sounds like a progress. That sounds like progress.
The shift. The
Yeah.
shift.
Um, so in your book, at the end, you made 16 suggestions for practices that people can do. Can you
Yeah.
just talk about 2 or 3 suggestions you have for people that are practical?
Practical. I like the word practical. In the West, we are trained to be practical. We are trained to use our intellect. We are trained to analyze problems and find a solution. That's the right side of the brain, dependent, your dominant side of the brain, right?
Okay.
Your dominant hemisphere is being used. But what about the non-dominant hemisphere, which relies on relaxation, music, creativity? Do we use it? All we use it? We
I think it
know. We
depends
use
on
our
the person.
phones.
Yeah.
We use our phones and we think that's entertainment and we are being creative.
Right.
No,
Oh, so you're saying don't bring a work mentality to it, right?
exactly.
I'm going to suggest a book to people. There's a wonderful book called The Brain at Rest.
Yes,
And The Brain at Rest is about using rest, using play, using music, the things
exactly.
you're talking about. So
Yes,
I don't want to, yeah, I didn't mean to be overly work focused, but but thank you for pointing that out. So what do you
yes.
suggest for people?
Go out for a walk.
Go for a walk? Yeah.
Yeah, start with some simple mindfulness activity. Start enjoying your food with every food that you. Okay, I'll give you an experiment right now. Okay, next time when you take a piece of grape in your hand, examine the grape with your eyes.
Okay.
Look at its texture, look at its color, and then pop it into your mouth and let it sit there for a bit. Roll it around in your with your tongue. Feel the texture again. Take a small bite. Feel the juices and let this circulate around your mouth again and feel each of your pores in your papilla in your tongue. Just enjoy the flavor. Take a few seconds before you take the second bite, and finally you gulp it down. Are we doing any mindful eating, mindful watching? We hardly do. Let's
Very much
start
so.
at least with mindfulness.
Right.
Then spending time with nature, spending time with themselves, doing some breath work, going for meditation retreats, listening to music, things that we know intuitively is good for us. We're not doing it.
What I got from reading The Brain at Rest is just that most people work too much and they don't sleep enough. Like just getting
Yes.
enough sleep. Like
Yes.
And it always surprises me how much of those energy drinks that they sell. I've
I,
never had an energy drink, but just people are desperate to stay awake because they're working such long hours and they're
yeah,
drinking all this caffeine
yeah.
to stay awake and they don't sleep.
I
So that
lost a
always,
exactly. I lost a colleague of mine. He was just 52 like me, a physician, family doctor in England, a marathon runner. He ran at least 3 marathons and he collapsed and died. Shocking. All of our friends or colleagues from our medical college are saying, how did that happen? He was a prime example of physically endurance. But we talk about a strong mind. He was not taking the stress well. He hardly slept. He was worried. And that eats up a whole system. And I don't know
yeah,
what that system is. It's probably endocrine system, it's the neurological system, the cardiovascular system. I think it's the whole system. We can't just put our finger, this is the problem. Stress eats up everything. And the
yeah,
only way to improve stress, take it away, is at least start with some breath work. When you
okay.
start using pranayama, your energy levels increase drastically. You sleep. So the technique that I teach is called Sudarshan Kriya Yoga, the sky technique. Sudarshan Kriya Yoga. It has been done by 800 million people across the world now. Yet hardly anybody talks about it because it's an open secret. I teach courses for that and they get sold out very quickly because I teach it in a small group. I do it in person. And there are teachers like me. There are 30,000 plus teachers across the world, across 180 countries. They are out there. They're just teaching breath work.
And
Once you start, yeah,
I read that you work for the Art of Living Foundation. Can you talk about what is the Art of Living Foundation?
absolutely. So I gave the name of Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. He is definitely an enlightened master out there. A few that are alive right now. We have had so many from the Indian tradition, as you might imagine. Uh, I just met him this weekend, and he's agreed to come to Toronto. So we're going to have a big cultural festival in Toronto in the summer.
Oh,
Our dates
wonderful.
are not, yeah, and this will be our fourth largest world cultural festival. And the idea is very simple. We want to have a stress-free, violence-free society. And how do we get there? By breath work, by meditation, through knowledge, music. That World Cultural Festival is going to be just music and dancing, but traditional way. The last iteration of the World Cultural Festival was in Washington just a couple of years ago at the Monument Mall. And we had more than 1.2 million people who came there.
Mm.
And for 2 days, I was literally teaching meditation to people who were lined up to learn how to meditate. They didn't even know how to meditate. So in the day, we would teach people meditation. We'll have healthy food, Ayurvedic food. And in the evenings, we would have lots of singing and dancing. The best vacation one can have.
I bet you were the most peaceful, well-behaved, happy group that had ever been there.
Yeah. And you know what? It happened. The changes, people meditating together, the crime rate changed in Washington by 300%. So the effect persisted for months after that. Of course, the media doesn't talk about that, but there are figures to prove it. Nobody talks about peaceful initiatives like these. And that's sad.
Yeah.
Just
That
one
would be nice.
example. We do
Every
a
time
lot of it.
for years I didn't watch the evening news because it was so upsetting because it's one report of violence after another after another.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if they reported peace? This peaceful thing happened. This
Yes.
peaceful thing happened. This was resolved. This was uh you know all the peaceful resolutions that happened. If they would highlight those and show those on the news, that would be nice.
It
You know.
is. It is. According to our ancient tradition, this part of the world's experience, if I can call it, was predestined. It was written. It was written a few thousand years ago, and it is still got to going on. So we can't change it, but we have a right for ourselves to learn how to manage our mind. And once we are calm and composed, we can influence others. We
Yeah,
can't control media, but we can control what our media output is. We,
yeah.
can we not? We can control our social media output.
I think change starts with individuals. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
if you can start it on a social level. I think it starts with individual change,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure about that. But um, at the end of your book, you recommend books that people can read, and you recommend movies they can watch. And you recommended Kung Fu Panda, which I saw the first one. It was so beautiful. And
Yes.
you recommended The Matrix, and there's a
Oh, yeah.
website link, which I'm going to put in the down below in the description. But why is The Matrix an interesting movie to you?
So many reasons. Yeah.
You said it was
Uh,
an example of Vedantic ideas. It was an example of
yes.
how you should know yourself and realize the divine within. So I don't think people are thinking that usually when they watch The Matrix. I think they're thinking it's a
No.
great action movie. So what are
Yeah.
some of the ideas and things in The Matrix that are that resonate
I'll
with you
just
or are related to
exactly.
these non-duality?
I'm conscious of the time. I could spend a whole session talking only about the Matrix, but the big one is the Oracle.
The Oracle.
Yeah. Who is the Oracle?
She's a computer program.
Okay.
And she
And who
tells
designed the
people.
computer program?
Who is the Oracle? I'm going to try to answer this. She's the
Yes.
lady who Neo goes to meet, and the Lawrence Fishburne character everyone goes to meet her so she can
Yes.
tell them something about their destiny.
Destiny. Is she just giving their destiny, or besides that too? Why are they really going?
I don't know. She has influence. Like she's influencing them by what she says. Why are
Exactly.
they going?
Yeah. I'm giving you the hint. She is the source of knowledge and peace.
Okay.
You can't portray the spirit beyond having a humanly figure. How can you show it in a movie?
You need a human figure.
Yeah, you have to have a human figure. And how do we make a human figure? Women, because they are more wise than men usually. Two, they've advanced in age, so they know what they're talking about. And third, they don't necessarily have to be white. So that we can have different ideas about what a, a cultured person can be. So we are trying to break some barriers there too, right? The traditions from Africa, Asia, they are very, very ancient traditions. They are very much knowledge based. Imagine what you are facing is your own reality. You don't know who you are. So Neo is going to find, who am I fighting? And she's giving him, okay, you are fighting yourself. And then suddenly he realizes he has the power within him.
Mm.
And there are so many parallel worlds that he has to fight to realize he didn't have to actually have to fight. It came innately to him. That's what the mind's capability is. You already have all the answers that you need. You just need to learn to relax.
And move forward with trust and confidence.
Trust, confidence, faith. Faith is a very powerful word, and that's a very Christian word, isn't it? Like, and we call it Shraddha in Hindi. Shraddha means I have full faith, 100% belief that whatever right is supposed to happen will happen. My job is only to do good to others. Once I know that, then I will no longer be selfish. Once I know that I'm here only to spread happiness and joy, then I will become happy. If it's because I am unhappy, then people around me become unhappy too. If I
Mm.
don't smile, what will be my spouses or my workmates or my colleagues say to me? You look unhappy. I'm not going to talk to you. Bye bye. Right?
When I thought about The Matrix, I've seen it maybe 3 times. Um, I didn't really focus on the Oracle very much. That's so interesting that you kind of see her as the main character, right? And wisdom is represented by a woman, right? Which
Yeah.
originally in Christianity it was too. It was Sophia.
Yes.
Wisdom is Sophia, a
Yeah.
woman, and in The Matrix it's the Oracle.
Yes.
But certainly there's lots of wise male characters as well. So
But what I really love about the Matrix is a very beautiful concept. The good and bad are equally important.
okay.
There is Neo has a dark side to him too as well, right? That's initially he's fighting his dark side. But if there was no dark side, you said Star Wars is the best movie in a conversation before we started the interview. What
Yeah.
is the dark side? There is nothing called the dark side as just the opposite of the good side. In most faiths, we are trying to run away from the bad as if it's horrible and only inculcate the goodness. There's nothing wrong in it, but we don't investigate what does badness really mean. As per ancient Hindu text, there are only three levels of gunas or qualities. That's what Vedanta now comes in. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattva is goodness in all of us.
Okay.
Rajas is the drive, but quite often too much of activity, feverishness, agitation to achieve what we need to achieve, to do what we have to do in this world. Tamas is indolence, greed, sloth, lethargy. Don't we need all three?
I suppose we need those negative things as a contrast. So you like maybe you have more gratitude because
Exactly.
when you're not experiencing them, right? Somebody who's never experienced something very dark or traumatic, they don't appreciate like just the simple beauty of regular life.
Exactly my point. So if you had gone to see Neo and he's not fighting anyone, he's just meditating, would you go and watch the movie?
No, of course not.
So these opposites are complementary to each other. They enhance each other. They give us more flavor of the celebration of life. That's what Sri Ravi Shankar says. With love, we call him Gurudev. That he makes us understand that there is so much of depth to life when your internal eyes are opened up, when you are aware of the power of the divine, offering positive and negative in the same basket. We can't run away from it. Once we accept that negativity is within me and in somebody, it's more because they haven't found their truth. They haven't met their own oracle inside. Then we start accepting. We have more compassion, more care, more love for others. We give
Yeah.
naturally rather than labeling them. That's what we do. He's a bad person. I hate him. I'm going to stay away from him. Look at the poor man who's sitting in jail. He didn't do a crime as such. He just slipped his mind. His mind escaped him. Ask any person who's in jail and ask him, did you do it purposefully? Of course, he will say no.
And often they're sort of brainwashed by their childhood or by their peers, right? Like they like this kind of confusion that they have, this ignorance. So,
Ignorance. Exactly. It's just ignorance, nothing else.
so please tell me, where can people buy your book and what kind of social media do you have?
I'm not very active on social media. I should be, I've been told. But yes, I have got all the handles for Facebook, Insta, X, Twitter. Um,
And you have a
yeah, it's
website, so I'll put your website address underneath.
Yeah, yeah. So just my name, drakshavasudev.ca is my website. And, I'm open to having chats with people. Of course, I take patients from London and Middlesex only here in Ontario, just because of huge pressures. But I'm looking
Oh
forward to
yeah.
being in different cities, giving talks. So if there's an opportunity for, if you like this talk and you want me to come over and have a chat, we can do some breathing, we can do some meditation. I'm very open to that.
I'm sure there's lots of places that would love to have you. Different like community groups or temples, places like that. And so I hope
100%.
they watch the video. I want to tell people to subscribe to my channel, comment, like, um, and I want to thank you today for joining me and sharing so much rich information. And I want to tell people to buy the book. And
Yes,
there's
and
a
it's available everywhere. So just look for the title. It should be
yeah.
available everywhere.
And there's an ebook which you can get instantly, and it's very affordable. I
Oh
love it
yes.
when there's an ebook. So,
Yes, yes.
yeah, that's what I bought. So thank you so much. I'm going to say goodnight to you.
Thank you
And
again.
yeah, and Happy New Year.
Thank you for having me. Good night and happy new year. Bye bye. Can stop recording.
I have